What's poppin', everybody? We are back with another episode of the First Time Homebuyers Podcast. Today's episode is going to be different. It's going to be different. I called in some backup. You guys know we went through everything as far as the process and how to get you in your first home. But we never really talked about negotiating. We never talked about understanding the markets and leverage. So we're going to dive into all of that today. And I had to bring in backup. I had to bring in the big cuz, Jason Benton, I got to work on my Shannon Sharp thing. Jason's a loan officer in Miami, top loan officer in Miami, with Foxtrot Mortgage. And this is my dog. So you probably seen us together on the Secure the Bag podcast. So we're going to come together today and get you a powerful show today. And we're going to talk about the difference between the Florida market and the Connecticut market, just so you could get some context of what's going on and how to navigate. All right, let's get it popping. Jason, what's up, man?
What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Thank you for doing this. We don't do Secure the Bag at 8:00 in the morning on a Saturday. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you for coming out and hanging out with me this morning.
Nah, bro, you call him there, brother.
Nah, definitely. So here's the thing. There's a lot of talk. The cliche about the market crashing. Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? I know the answer to this, but I want to walk them through it. So here in Connecticut, we're still in a seller's market. We do have a little bit more inventory. Month supply is how they gauge it, right? So we got a little bit more inventory, but there's still multiple offer situations, right? In my mind, I would think a buyer's market is where if a buyer wanted to buy the first house they saw, they could. Right, but in a seller's market, you might not have that luxury. You might be writing offers on a few different properties before you find the one. Right, that's a good way to gauge it. Am I right or wrong?
No, it's 100%.
All right.
It depends on your market.
Right.
Your market dictates based on what's going on in your micro economy, so to speak.
Right. So
if you're in Connecticut, it's going to differently than if you're in California or here in Florida, and even different parts of Florida.
Right. Hold on 1 second, big dog. Yeah. There we go. I was up all night tinkering with this thing, and I forgot to. My bad, stream. Hold up. So I had to reset my computer last week. And
I remember that.
Yeah. So there's some things that I had set up that are not set up anymore. You know?
Listen, man, this is real life right here.
This is real life. Where is it? All right, so we're gonna have to double up today now. So I was trying to put it so that the camera switch back and forth, but we're just gonna twin it. And so Jason,
You got a whole production studio.
you can see all of that? You can't see that.
Yeah, I see the whole production, man. I know what a good production look like.
There we go. All right, so now I just need to me back you up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I make stuff happen. There we go. My man Foxtrot.
Okay. I gotta get my mascot, Mr. Fox. Gotta get that popping running around Miami soon.
Right. All right, done. Wow. Sorry. Yo, I had to get my boy on the screen. My bad. So people watch the news, TikTok or whatever, wherever they get their news from. And there's a lot of talks of the market crashing. And I would think if the market were crashing, prices would be plummeting, right? What's the definition of a crash? Do you think? What's the definition of a crash? Because first of all, 'cause you were also around in 2000, in 2008 when the big crash happened.
Yeah.
All right. So what would be your definition of a crash?
Yep. I was around. So I think it's got to be when we're it's volatility in the market, bro. Is when for 2 or 3 year or 2 or 3 cycles, and we're receding backwards, man, and we have a credit crisis, right? So the difference between what's happening when you have a recession, and then the difference between when we had in 2007, 8, 9, where we had an actual credit crisis with the with mortgage-backed securities, is totally different, man. And I think people don't truly understand the difference and what happened back then and what's happening now. And I think the fear is that the market's going to crash. I'm going to lose everything. If I buy a house, I'm not going to be able to afford anything, or I'm going to have to file bankruptcy like back then, or all these fears come in when I'm like, it's not true, because the data doesn't support cool down, right? So it cooled down a little bit, right? Because inflation hit so quick and so fierce, and it's been going on for the past few years now, and it looks like it's not receding at all. And that's where the fear is coming in, right? The fear of the unknown is the biggest issue that we have right now, and hesitation to pull the trigger to purchase, or for people just to invest in general.
Right. So what we have right now is not crash, right? It's more of a correction. It's more of a slowdown, right? More of an adjustment to the market, if you will.
Yeah. I believe so. It is a slowdown. I mean, the data supports a slowdown, right? It doesn't support a crash, right? We have so the market you're in right now. You said you guys in Connecticut are in the seller's market right now, right?
Correct.
So you're having a seller's market where there's more sellers. I'm sorry, there's more sellers than buyers.
No,
right?
more
So
buyers.
now,
More buyers.
I'm sorry,
than
there's more
sellers.
buyers than sellers.
Yeah.
There's more buyers than sellers. So now the inventory is less inventory, right? With more buyers on the market. So now the buyers the sellers get to dictate the rules of engagement, so to speak.
Right.
When dealing with the public when they're coming to purchase their home. So now they negotiate at whatever benefits them, right?
Correct.
So I'm negotiating at my benefit right now. So you come in, I want highest and best, blah, 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 right?
Right.
Miami right now, we're a little different in South Florida. And I say South Florida and I break it up because there are markets here that are not experiencing any real growth right now as far as, market housing increase.
Right.
You do have buyers who are sitting on the sidelines right now. For instance, if you go to the West Coast, Cape Coral, Lehigh Acres area, Fort Myers, you do have builders who are in distress right now because they were selling their homes $400,000 about a year and a half ago. Man, they're down all the way to $300,000, and some builders are going bankrupt, and they're selling to other bigger builders right now because the demand in that area is not there no more.
Mm.
You come to Miami, we're in a buyer's market right now. We have so many buyers on the market right now, right? And we have decent inventory. So people can actually go put an offer in and think about the offer now. Where
Mm.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, you couldn't do that.
Right.
And it creates opportunity for people who are first time home buyers, people who are looking to get back into the market, and people who are looking to negotiate and get a good deal. So they don't got to come out their pocket with the higher interest rates. When you're in that buyer's market, you get to go and you get to negotiate with the sellers.
Right.
And you can get that 5, 10,000 seller concession, or maybe, you can max out for FHA loans at 6%.
Right.
You can get some of those, you can get some of those items fixed, that need to be fixed before they sell the property, because now you can control the negotiation to a certain extent
Right.
in this current market. So it's very important to know your market and not just look at the data of the US, but look at the data in the market in which you plan on purchasing.
Right. So, and that's the point. As you hit it right on the head. That's the point I was trying to get to. Is when you get market reports, when you get market updates, the market is hyper local because every situation, every market is not the same, right?
Correct.
I think 2008 was definitely a global crash for sure, right? I don't even think it just affected the American market, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was, that was something that was big. That was a lot bigger than us. But when you
Correct.
when you look at what's going on today, it's definitely hyper local, right? So I'll take it a step further. So in Connecticut, we are definitely a seller's market. There's more buyers than sellers, right? We have multiple offers on,
Yep.
mostly every property, and the sellers have the leverage, which we're going to talk about later as well, is the leverage. But Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken, I could be off by a little bit, but if I'm not mistaken, Connecticut has the fourth highest taxes in the country, property taxes in the country, the fourth highest mill rate in the country. And there's a town in Connecticut that is the highest in Connecticut, right? So most of, all of our towns have different mill rates, right? But Hamden has probably the highest, or is the highest mill rate in the state, right? Maybe number one or number two, but we're up there.
Mhm.
So anyways, the taxes are going up again in Hamden, right? So it's creating something interesting. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to get real interesting over the next couple of months to see, because there's some people that are like, listen, I'm not going to be able to afford it. I have to leave, right? There's a lot of people that are saying that. And what's going to happen is, imagine if everybody in this one town put their house on the market at the same time, right? So now you create more inventory. Will it be able to keep up with buyer demand, right? Because if it doesn't keep up with buyer demand, we're going to switch to a buyer's market in that specific town. But everywhere else could still be a seller's market. You get what
Correct.
I'm saying? So I'm not saying that's going to happen. Don't quote me on that. I'm talking theory right now. The taxes are definitely going up, and there are some people that are on the fence, locked and loaded, ready to make a move. So there could be some opportunities for buyers in Hamden coming soon. Stay tuned. If you want more information on that, send me a DM or click my Calendly link in the description below, and we'll get you set up. We'll have a conversation about your real estate plans. But yeah, there's definitely going to be something interesting going on here in Hamden. So real estate is definitely local, and in most cases, it's not a universal thing. So when you hear people on these social media sites talking about whatever, check with your local real estate agent, your local lender, your local professional before you start jumping to conclusions and making the wrong plans, right? So we talked about how, Florida, and you're saying the same thing. Even in Florida, in South Florida where you are, is definitely a buyer's market. I remember you were talking to me, we talked, I think last night, and you were like, if the house is not painted properly, buyers are walking out. Buyers are like
Yeah.
listen, you get what I'm saying? If the house is not in pristine condition, it's going to sit on the market for a while, and buyers are walking because the buyers now have the opportunity to be a little bit more selective on what it is they want, in that buyer's market, right? So, in Connecticut, it's a little different. Listen, you're a buyer, so of course you have the right to be selective. You have the right to be picky and choose what you want. But the psychology, the leverage in a seller's market, you start feeling like I got to make a move on something. You get what I'm saying? I might have to. Yeah. I might have to settle to get in the game. Like there's a lot of mental changes you have to that shift from a buyer's to a seller's market. So we're definitely feeling that here. What do you think about that?
No, I agree, man. I've been in banking and finance and mortgages for a long time now. Going on 20 years now, and I think it's a psychology thing and an education thing that we have to get, because it doesn't matter what the market is, right? There's opportunity in every market, right?
Correct.
So when the market starts to shift, to be honest, in order to capitalize, because very few people ever able to catch the peak of any market. I'm going to sell when it's at the peak of the top. I'm gonna get my top dollar, or I'm going to buy when it's at the bottom, and be right before it starts to increase, right? So you always got to try to catch that right before the curve happens. You gotta, before it goes down or before it goes up, you got to try to catch it right before to maximize your purchase, or even if you're selling. And I think something that's very important, what you said, is you gotta be able to know the market. Well, really the realtor to know the market that you're purchasing in, right? So you understand, if you go a county away and the numbers don't make sense, and the numbers are different, and the numbers look different from the other county, that is not a dictation of the whole state of what you're purchasing in, right? It's just that county. You might have one Fairfield County, taxes might skyrocket, right? And the New Haven County, the taxes might just be at an average to 1.5% a year, or whatever, the tax on that market is very important, man. And I think a lot of times when people go purchase, they're too emotional about it, right? Like, we can't get emotional about the American dream no more, right? Because it looks different now everywhere.
Right.
And when you're purchasing, and when you're thinking about purchasing, right, it should be a strategic move. You shouldn't be looking at that house as, hey, me and my family are going to be here for 30 years, right? Because the idea of that is not really true anymore. Most people don't stay in their house for 30 years. In fact, the data supports within 5 to 7 years, most people don't even have the same mortgage anymore.
Right.
They're the refinance out of there, sell their home, foreclose, refinance.
Yeah, the National Association of Realtors.
So yeah, man, I agree with you, man.
Yeah, National Association of Realtors said the average homeowner stays in their house between 5 and 7 years. So, and especially, especially in our market in Connecticut, 5 to 7 years, you be done made $100,000 in equity on your property. Like, yeah, we on to the next one. Like, you know what I mean? Excuse me. So as long as your property's building equity, yeah, 5 to 7 years is definitely more realistic for sure. But so now let's talk about let's dive in a little deeper. Let's talk about strategy. So and I'm gonna be very transparent with all of y'all. I've never been in a buyer's market before. It's been a seller's market here for the last 10 years. So now I've obviously negotiated deals on properties where there wasn't multiple offers, but I've never been in a buyer's market before. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have to lean on you for this. So in a buyer's market for a first-time home buyer, like, what's my strategy? What's my thought process in finding the right home, making sure my numbers are right? because you got time now. You got time to actually think about this and figure it out. So, what's the strategy? What's the thought process going into a buyer's market?
So I'll frame it this way. So if I was a buyer right now, and I can, if I was a buyer right now in this market or any market right now where there's a buyer's market, the first thing I would do is speak. I'll get a consultation first. I'll do my pre-approval. I'll see what my purchasing power is, right? I'll sit down. I'll do it. Make sure it's done thoroughly. If you get a good loan officer, even if they're not so good, they should be able to give you a very good purchasing power pre-approval, so you can go out there and really make a informed decision, right? So you don't have to have issues, right? The second thing, I'll make sure when I interview my realtor next that they're part of a team, and then I'll let them know, listen, this is my expectations of you both. This is my expectation of going into the market. Now, you have to be realistic with your expectations, because a lot of borrowers are not these days, but these are my expectations. Then I'll ask the realtor, what's the best strategy to go into purchasing a home and how we can get the best deal. And most of the time, we were speaking last night on properties in Hartford, is see how long those properties have been sitting on the market. If those properties have been sitting on the market for 30, 60, 90 days or even longer, now okay, let me have my realtor go speak with them, see if they're getting offers, see if people going by. You can tell, bro. You can tell. I mean, I've been doing it so long. If I have a conversation with a realtor or a client or a seller or a buyer, I can sort of get the feel of what they're really thinking based on what they're like telling me, right? Once you're able to do that, then you go look at properties based on your criteria now, right? You don't have to settle as much as you have to do in the seller's market, where it's like, yo, I only got 24 hours or less to put this in. And at the peak of COVID here, bro, you weren't getting that much. About time you sat in that 30, 50 person line and got to see the property, the showing, man, it was already contracts written on that property. Highest and best.
Right.
Yeah, bro, highest and best. They had to shut down stuff.
So the pandemic for you.
Let me digress.
The pandemic for you guys was seller's market all the way.
Oh yeah, it was crazy, man. I'm talking about people were bidding 50, 60, 70,000 above appraised value. You couldn't compete. But let me get back on my point.
I got you.
So once you're able to do that, you can take your time and you can go out there and just find the layout you want. I think sometimes, Gerard, and this is the issue with people when they start overthinking it, if the property has the bones, has the layout, has the room, has the square footage you need, has the garage, has the yard size, right? Then if it's cosmetically ugly, you can take your time and fix it up, right? You can take your time and you can put that value back into the home slowly over time. But what happens is, if you go to the house and you want the house you want and you're not able to take advantage of the buyer's market, because you're going to that other market, like you said, in Hamden or wherever it's at, where it's still a seller's market, and you're not able to take advantage of that. So you buy the ugly house in the block. This is not a saying, ladies and gentlemen. This is true. Buying below market value or buying in those up and coming emerging areas is the game. It's the way you build equity. It's the way you get into the market and create quote unquote generational wealth or legacy or whatever you want to call it, right? Buying a new I do not like new constructions, especially down here for most people, right? Because you're buying a home that is literally being sold almost at the peak of what it costs. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. You can I got $40,000-$50,000 worth of equity. Yeah, it's cool. But that price, like when you buy that new construction and you have that CDD and you have that HOA fee, and then them taxes after that first year or two, they skyrocket, that payment in that area is not so sexy anymore, right? So, but if you go buy a home that has the same layout, the same square footage, and you update that home over the next 3 or 4 years, you buy that way below the market value, and now you have the same equity most likely as that home because you just renovated it. But that equity, that gap in equity is going to be maybe hundreds of $1,000s depending on how good you bought.
Right. That's buying that's buying smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and so in that buyer's market, you have that opportunity to not only get what you need physically, but also invest properly to where you know, you're even winning financially, if I guess, you know what I mean? So it's like you're getting equity and you know, resale value and all of those things. It works. I'll tell you what I noticed, Jason, about a lot of first-time home buyers. The starter homes are gone, especially up here. That's what I see.
Oh yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Starter
like
home.
there's no. Let me buy this fixer upper. You know, let me update my kitchen and my bathroom as I go. The buyers want it now, and that's even more weirder because we're in a seller's market. So it's like the buyers want everything right now. They want granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, walk-in closets. They want it all. Finished basements, you know, 2-car garage, central air. They want it all, right? And then it's like, but now you're in a seller's market where there's not enough inventory to go around, right? So you're looking for something hyper specific, or not even. You're looking for something that everybody else is looking for. Everybody else is looking for it. Meanwhile, there's a foreclosure across town that needs a paint job, you know, a new kitchen and a new bathroom. And I notice a lot of buyers walk in and kind of turn their nose up like, yeah, nah, this is not what I'm doing. Right, but I need you to understand that you could get this right now for $50,000 to $100,000, you know, under market value. And it might only cost you $20,000 or $30,000 to fix up.
That's where the win is at, right?
That's where the win is at.
Social media is killing our black economics, bro. And everybody thinks we're moving forward. We're not moving forward, bro. We're moving backwards because it's all an image, right? And they're not telling you, like, a lot of these and there's some people out there that are quote unquote gurus who has the blueprint of how to do this, right? And it's not buying those nice, sexy homes when you're buying your first home or even buying your second home, right? It's not that. You should be able to go into that house, right? And you should be able to fix that house up over the next several years you live in it, and be able to buy under market value and have equity in 5 to 7 years, right?
Right.
Given that you don't refinance or take a home equity line of credit out, right?
Right.
But the condition that we live in now is that I need all these fancy things because I need to put this house. So think about this analogy, right? They don't want to no longer buy the house with the white picket fence and live, you know, work towards, you know, building it up. They're like, yo, I need to take this house right here and somehow I need to put this in the microwave, and I need to put this house in the microwave, and I need it to come out the exact way I want it. But I don't have the budget right now.
Right.
I can't afford it right now, but I need to figure out how to force my way into it, get 3 or 4 people onto it, and they're not understanding taxes, insurance is going up, HOAs are going up, right? So if those are the concerns with these new constructions, why not go to an emergent area? It's ladies and gentlemen, it's so easy to find an emergent area. You can see it in every city, and it's where they're building up. You know what we call it down here in South Florida? I'm pretty sure they call it everywhere. We say, listen, if you live in the hood and you see a white lady walking the dog
It's gentrification.
in that hood more than once a week, it's about to be gentrified. If you see a Starbucks come up in that area, or a Target, or a Whole Foods within a couple of miles, your area is about to be gentrified. But we don't see those, we don't figure out those indicators. We don't see it coming, and it's like plain as day in our face, you know, and it's just, bro, it's you know, I have this conversation. I think I had it with Mike years ago, and I was like, what's the definition of gentrification, right? Right. We don't own anything, so how can they come in and take over something that nobody owns? Like, it's free game right now.
So yeah, you
nobody owns it. So what are they really gentrifying?
So you have to own it to be gentrified. But so and look,
Yeah, you have to own it so it can be gentrified.
listen, in full disclosure, me and Jason, we've been having these conversations a lot lately, and we could go. We'll have these conversations for 2 hours. We'd be on the phone with the fellas on a four-way. They'd be falling asleep,
Yeah.
and me and Jason be going. We'd be going at it, man. So good. This is definitely a good conversation. But to stay on topic, the people,
Yeah,
people,
I get a little, I go a little left sometimes.
look, it's all good. We got to reel each other in. We're like yin and yang, man. He watches me, I got to watch him when it's time to reel each other in. But nah, it's definitely facts. It's definitely a thing, man. And I think what confused me about this whole gentrification, or I don't want to call it gentrification, because this is where I was confused. What I thought was gentrification, it wasn't gentrification. It was a seller's market. You get what I'm saying? Like it was so
Yes.
so around here we have Yale, and Yale is like this mythical this mythical creature roaming around that is just going to come and buy everybody's properties for $1 million. You get what I'm saying? And everybody's going to be happy because Yale came in and bought up all the properties, right? That's been going on since I was 6, apparently, right? But what's happening is, yes, Yale is expanding. There are some investors that are coming in that are building like luxury condos and luxury condos and things like that in the area. But I'm still not calling it gentrification. I'm calling it just simple. That's marketing. You get what I'm saying? Because on the other side, we still have homes that just happen to have their value increase. But I'm not calling it gentrification. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't think it's that major at this point. But I say that to say we're in a seller's market, so the property values are going up regardless. You get what I'm saying? So if Yale didn't do anything or nothing changed over there, the property values would still go up probably to where they are. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I won't call it gentrification. Yep. But yeah, so and back to the topic, back to the point was, there is no starter homes, right? You should buy right. You should, equity is king in this game, right? And that's what kind of what you were saying. But we've been lucky here that because it's a seller's market, everybody I sold the house to in the last 5 to 10 years is sitting on at least 50 to 200,000 in equity right now. Like literally everybody. You get what I'm saying? So it's hard. It's hard to miss in a sense, is what I'm trying to get at. It is very hard to miss, and this is a bad buy. You hang in there for 2 to 3 years, yeah, you just made $100,000. You get what I'm saying? So I'm exaggerating. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm just trying to make the point that it's very hard to miss in a seller's market when the property values keep rising. But like I said before, in Hamden now we're seeing an adverse effect to that
drastically.
Yeah, right.
In some areas,
right. So now we're seeing an adverse effect to that, meaning, yeah, the property values are rising, but now the taxes are coming. You get what I'm saying? So if you bought with that equity and your taxes go up, now you're able to make a move though. Now you can, cash out and sell or go somewhere else, or, take that equity and now I'm gonna add an ADU to the house so I could get some rental income to help offset the rise in taxes, the increase in excuse me, the increase in payment, right? So, that's how I think. That's my thought process. What do you think?
No, I love it. So that's a whole nother topic, right? The strategizing of purchasing homes, right? That's just another strategy with the ADUs. And what the ADU is, if you don't know, it's an adult dwelling unit, and now they're actually becoming a part of financing where you can actually finance those things into the house, get those built on the property,
Right.
as an extension of the home for Airbnb for your parents that are aging. It's a huge opportunity for that right now. But the other thing, right? Because I'm sorry for the pause.
It's all
I'm
good.
trying to gather my thoughts because I don't think there's enough truth being put out there in our industry right now between realtors and loan officers, professionals, right? I think people put cookie cutter information out there. Um, and when I get direct sometime, it seems like, oh my God, he's talking bad to the people. I'm not talking bad to anybody. I'm telling people, yo, this is the real. It ain't, oh, just buy a home and force it to be bought. No, you should sit down and you should be having conversations daily with your realtor and loan officer on how to strategize to
With your
get the best
team.
opportunity
For
out
real.
there. With your team, you have to sit with your team and you have to strategize and you should look. And when you're in the buyer's market, it gives you the ability to literally hold firm. That's why I don't think you should go if you're not ready to buy and you force yourself to buy. Most of the time, those people don't buy right.
Right.
They're forced to buy and they buy wrong. And another thing, just because somebody owns property or they say quote unquote they're an investor or they have all this property and whatever, it doesn't mean anything to a sense that they're experts in the field because a lot of people have properties and they owe money. They didn't buy right.
Right.
They didn't buy, they bought retail and they didn't buy wholesale. So as soon as them taxes go up, as soon as that insurance go up, they're now in the negative. That asset is no longer an asset. It's a liability now because it's costing them more money to even hold that property than they're getting from the renters and the property. So I wanted to put it that way because we're taught, oh my God, it's so easy to get in this industry and do this and no money down and this. And it's like, bro, all these people who are highly successful, they're all working a strategy right now.
Right.
They're not buying retail. They're not going out there buying retail. Oh, I'm going to Zillow and buy. No, they're buying wholesale properties, meaning that the properties are in distress. They're in foreclosure, and I'm gonna put an asterisk next to foreclosure because the banks caught on several years ago about selling foreclosures. They ain't what they once were. But the investors, they buy distressed properties and they fix them up and they take that after repair value and now that's the new equity in the property. So now if they buy a home for $400,000 and they fix that home up and they create an ARV of what 750,000 or so, that's their equity they have in that property now, right?
Right.
They didn't buy that home at $700,000 and rent it out to people because it doesn't make any financial sense because the way the rents are going right now, they're receding a little bit. You ain't going to be able to get the money for it, and that's what we're trying to explain. That you have to make sure when you purchase a home, I don't care where it's at, take your time and try to buy right because every market has a diamond in the rough. I saw it during COVID. I see it now. Even in the buyer's market, you can you could possibly get a better deal, right? But you buy when you can afford to buy. You don't buy and try to play the market because you're not experienced. Even the experienced people are not that experienced enough to be able to play the market like that.
I will say this, Jason, and it's this is very tricky. We listen. We went off topic a long time ago. We really just vibing and just trying to give you just the real. This is real this is just real content. This real life stuff is what's happening in the market. And Jason, how long you been in the business? Real quick.
So I've been in mortgage finance and banking 2005. So what is it? Yeah, 20 years now.
All right.
And banking. Yep.
So you got your 20 years, my 10 years. So we looking at like 30 years of experience right now. 30 years of real estate experience right now. So we've seen a lot of things. We've been through a lot of things. We've helped a lot of people, right? So what you're witnessing right now is the mastering of the minds right now. But
yes. Let's preference though. We are homeowners. We are investors.
For sure.
We have done fix and flips. We actually done these things that we're telling you guys. Well, we're not really talking about all that, but we own properties. we've owned real estate and own real estate now. So
There's some wisdom on this call right now, but I said all that to say I feel like in my market, because the property values are going up, because it's a seller's market, it is kind of creating this effect of like there's a lot of landlords, everybody. Oh my God, it's like a vicious cycle. Like I don't even know where to start in it, right? But let's start here. Instagram, it's crazy. Instagram says you should buy the multifamily first, right? You should buy as many, up to 4 units, right, on the first house, and then you go get your single family after that, right? So most first-time home buyers have that mentality, right? They want to buy the multifamily first. So now you create demand in the multifamily market. So the multifamilies here are bananas, which is why, the conversation we were talking about last night about other towns, multifamily prices are bananas, right? So now when the new landlord buys this new multifamily, his mortgage is probably double or triple what the previous owner had, right? So now the new landlord has to raise the rents double, what the tenant was paying before, right? So now you have this tenant who's like, I'm telling you, it's a circle of life. Follow me. Now you have this tenant that says, I got to buy my own house because I'm not going to go from house to house and the landlord keeps selling and I got to keep moving. So now I need stability in my life. But the problem is I got to be out of this house in the next 30 to 45 days, right? Because the new landlord with the first-time home buyer loans got to move in. So I got to go, right? So now I got to find a spot. Right. So let me call the realtor. Listen, Mr. Realtor, Gerard and the Gibson team, and Chantel and the Gibson team. Shout out to Chantel in the comments. She said good morning. I have to move. I have to make a move. All right, listen, this is the process. You know what I mean? Like, we ask our qualifying questions. But the thing is you have to live somewhere. Like, and we always used to have this conversation. I know I'm rambling, but we always used to have, you had your turn, it's my turn now. We used to have the conversation of now is not the good time to buy. We used to have the conversation of now is not the good time to buy.
Yeah.
That may be true, but you can't tell somebody now's not the good time to live. Like, I need somewhere to live, food, clothing, and shelter, right? So you start to see buyers come into the market that are buying out of necessity, you know what I mean? Not out of leisure. You get what I'm saying?
Correct.
So, and it's a different type of transaction now because I have to buy. So now in this seller's market, I ain't got time to think about no new construction, renovating and this, that, and the third. I got to get where I got to get now. I got to get these kids registered for school. So I see a lot of that going on, and not, kind of what you were talking about as far as, desperation, Shawnee. Thank you for that. I see a lot of that going on as opposed to that, hey, listen, I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to save up for 3 years. I'm going to make sure I got 30 to 40,000 saved up. My credit score is 700 to 800. I really don't need down payment assistance or a grant or whatever or any of that stuff. I'm going to go out, buy, conventional or whatever. I'm going to do it right. Like, I'm not saying those people don't exist, but I'm just saying in the climate that we in, it's hard to get to that. It's very, very hard to get to that.
Yeah, yes. So audience, all those methods work, right? All those methods can work. You can save, you can do it that way. It all works. We're not trying to say one way is better than the other, like all the time. But sometimes in different markets, you have to use different strategies, right? And buying out of desperation is something that's hurting people. Right? Nobody wants to say it's hurting people because you buy the desperation, you buy wrong. Right? They say, you better pay for it the first time Because if you don't pay for it right the first time, it's going to cost you more in the
Gonna
end. If
cost
I
you
buy
later.
that used car, instead of just, yeah, instead why I buy that used car is because I'm trying to save $100 on my monthly payment, and that car breaks down, and I could have got that lease or that other newer car from the actual dealership and not the mom and pop shop. I wouldn't be having these issues. Actually, costing me more money through the long haul, right?
Right.
So the desperation is where I think people are hurting, man. It's painful to be successful. It's painful to win, right? It is. You got to go through the fire to win, and you can't get around it. Yeah, you're gonna have people here and there that hit the jackpot sometime, right? They hit the jackpot. They find that perfect distressed property that's new. God forbid, family members passed away or something happened, and they were able to get it off the market. But for most people, they go through the gauntlet, right? Trying to figure out how to buy this, and this is high, and the taxes are high, and that is high, and this is high, and all these different factors that go into purchasing a home and actually holding that property for years. I just think you just got to stay disciplined, man. I
Right.
think you gotta stay disciplined, and you gotta open your mind to other opportunities out there and not get too square peg into the square hole, because this is what I want. I want my kids to go to this school. I want to live here. I don't want to travel, because I think you lose. I think we lose when we box ourselves in like
Right.
that mentally when we're
Right.
purchasing a home. This transaction is so important, man, because it can cost you everything, and that's why foreclosure was such a high factor years ago, because people were just buying wrong. They couldn't afford it, right? Buy what you can afford. It's okay to buy that 350 house instead of that $550,000 house. It's okay to figure out how can I get a starter home, right? It's okay to do these things, right? If you can find it. Like here in Miami, you go to the hood, it's 450, 500,000 now to buy those homes. Taxes went from 1,200 to 4 or 5 grand. So it's harder. Yes, not saying it ain't harder, right? But when you really understand your area and take your time, that's why I always think about, don't get pre-approved when you're ready to buy. Get pre-approved before,
Yes.
so you can actually prepare for 2-3 years down the road.
Right.
And now when you're ready to pull the trigger, you don't have to wait. You can pull the trigger. And now that's another way to leverage yourself in the market, because when you're ready to go, and the market is ready for you, or when you find that perfect house or whatever you're looking for, you can go. You don't have to prepare. And now you wasted 2 or 3 real estate cycles. Now it's like, oh man, I can't even afford it anymore. Now you're back to square one
Yo,
with it.
yo,
Just take your time, ladies and gentlemen. Like, you don't. We're desperate because we wait too long.
right. Right. And that's a good point. So if I'm a tenant right now, if I'm a renter right now, I gotta already be thinking that the market is up and my
Correct.
landlord is gonna want to cash out. The market is up, my landlord is gonna want to cash out. Let me prepare myself now, even though I got another year on my lease. Let me prepare myself now to make this move, because this ain't mine and it could be taken away from me. I think a lot of people
Correct.
don't realize that. I think a lot of people are like, listen, I pay my rent and I'm gonna be straight. I don't have to go nowhere. Me and my landlord cool. Yeah, nah, but your landlord got your landlord got a gambling habit at
He got a family.
Foxwoods.
He got goals.
Right. He got a family and he spent a lot of time at Foxwoods. He might need to cash out on this thing. You don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Shalita said exactly. She put the stamp on you. shout out to Shalita.
Shout out to the wife, man.
So being prepared is definitely key. And I tell people this too. Even if you call me and you're thinking about purchasing, you're not even 100% sure. You just called to get some information. Fill out the application. Fill out the application.
Yes.
It don't cost, right? It don't cost to find out. It shouldn't. There are some lenders that do charge for credit pulls. I don't want to talk about it. But anyways, you call me, I'll point you in the right direction.
Charge for credit pool.
So you charge for the initial application?
Yeah, I credit my well, I charge for the credit pull, not the actual
Okay.
application. I credit my borrowers back at closing. Usually do double or triple for them. I just want to make sure they're serious
They're
because you
committed. Yeah,
have a lot of
yeah,
borrowers and we're busy,
yeah.
and they're not serious, They're going, they're shopping you and they're this and that. I'm like, oh, if you're serious, let's do it. I'm gonna give you the money back.
But the point is go ahead and get that information. You feel me? Like
Correct.
don't don't wait too long. Shawnee asked a question. She said, "Soft pull or hard pull?"
I like hard pull. There's people in the market. I have friends and people who do soft pulls. I'm like, let's just get straight to the point. Like if you're looking to buy a $500,000 home, you can't pay $64, $88, $99 for a credit pull. So we can make sure that we seeing the accurate information, because sometimes soft pulls, you do get a discrepancy when you come back. But with the credit score. But we do have lenders now. Being a broker, this is where the superpowers come in. We do have lenders that will close on a soft pull that I've been hearing. So I'll be looking into that a little more because I want to make sure how accurate that is. But if that's a possibility, yeah, you do a soft pull. Like if you got good credit, you got good credit, man.
You got good credit.
Everybody's so worried about their scores dropping, but if you go to the credit bureaus and you read it, like most of the people whose scores drop is because they have negative items on their report. If you're not getting your score pulled 10, 15, 20 times a year, you're most likely not going to see a drop or any real significant drop at all.
Right.
So if people got bad credit, they just have bad credit. It's not dropping because you're getting your credit pulled, right? You're dropping because the credit sucks. And we just need to figure out how we can work together and get it fixed so it's strong enough to go ahead and shop. I think that's another thing that stops a lot of people from figuring out where they need to be. You know what I mean? Where do I need to be? But they don't want to pull their credit, so they're like, just give me guesstimates, right? I'm like, I don't like that part of it. The guesstimates. Figure out where you're at. Know exactly where you're at. Know exactly what you need to do. Because guess what? Something we didn't touch on. Man, these investors have money, bro. You listen, man. I have friends and I have clients who are investors. Man, they have money. You can't compete with them. Like that's what I'm saying. You can't play the market, because if the market were to crash, these people have pockets.
It's going to be a whole different
Their pockets are literally. It's, bro. You don't want to compete with them. People are worried about, oh man, these hedge funds are coming in and they're buying blocks and blah blah. Yeah, but you got the regular investor who are pooling their money together with other investors, and they're buying these homes, man. Like you go around Miami, man, a lot of these, it's a lot of when you start talking about commercial and land and stuff, yeah, it might be corporations, but a lot of these single family residents are individuals or groups of individuals buying these properties, man. You're either gonna buy the property. So this is the thing, right? You're either gonna buy the property, and I know we got off track again, but you're gonna buy the property.
Man. It is what it is. Let's go.
You're going to buy the property under value, fix it up, create the value, or for 250, 300, 350, or you're going to let somebody else buy the property, fix it up, and then you're just going to buy it back from them for 550, 650, 750, and you're going to have higher taxes. I mean, they fix it up so the insurance can be lower because of the risk of the property, but everything else is going to be higher. I'd rather buy, I'm not going to lie to you, I'd rather buy low cost, high rate than a low rate, high cost. I mean, that's something I'd rather do.
The flip I did last year, we were talking about it last night. I had like a 12, 13% interest rate on that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it benefited. So like I wasn't even tripping on that. So basically what I'm saying is, I don't care if you're a first-time home buyer. I don't care if you're a seasoned investor. The focus is the numbers. The focus is not even how ugly the house is. The focus is the numbers, all the way down to, from how much it's going to cost to buy, how much it's going to cost to renovate, and then a step even further, what's my exit strategy? Am I selling this? What's my rental income? What if I bury it and do a cash out refi? What are the interest rates on the cash out refi? Like these are all of the questions you need to ask yourself on every single deal.
Yep.
Not just one. I was talking to one of my buddies, and it's like, whether you're a first-time home buyer or an investor, I personally approach every house the same way. So even you, Mr. or Mrs. first-time home buyer, while you're looking at the granite countertops and the stainless steel appliances, I'm already calculating the numbers in my head. So I already know where this thing is going, prior to you putting in an offer, right? Because the numbers is what matters. Now, what you do with that, you know what I mean, is kind of on you, you know what I mean? But, I already know what the numbers is before we even get there. And, I give my clients their, payment information, what does a payment look like, all of that type stuff. I run, here's another one. Here's a shameless plug. I run CMAs on every property that my client wants to put an offer in on. What's scary about that statement is I get clients that are on their second or third agent, right? They're coming from different agents. And when I send them that report, they're blown away because they never seen it before, which tells me there's people out there that are not doing it. Like, you gotta know the numbers. If you never seen a CMA before, that's a problem. That's a problem. You got to know, what are you out there doing, So,
of course,
we went off topic again. This is so passionate. We could do this all day.
No. This is important, because this is the message I give to my clients and my realtors all the time. Especially the least experienced ones. Like, you got to separate yourself, because there are realtors out there who, even some new ones also, who are monsters. And when I walk up to a Gerard, I need to be able to compete with him. And if you're pulling out all these reports and all these data points and all this stuff, and I'm sitting, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to look at that other realtor loan officer and be like, yeah, man, I think I'm going to go with your team. Because you're showing them the value of what they're doing. You're not just doing a transaction, but you're actually showing them the value of why you are who you are, but also how this can put more equity and generational wealth and legacy and so forth and so on to their family, right? You're investing in that's an investment into your client and their family when you do that, bro. Like, that right there makes me happy. Yo, you showing numbers, you showing the CMA report.
You got to.
Man, that client, that client gonna be so empowered when he leaves or she leaves. They're gonna be like, yo, I already know how, I already know the value of all the properties on this block. I know if it's going up, I know if it's going down, I know where it's trending. But the best thing you could do is empower a client, bro.
But this is the problem. I don't want to say the problem, but because we're in the seller's market, right? Because you're in these multiple offer situations, I hate it with a passion. I really do, and I don't express it to my clients as much as I probably should, or in a way that I should. But I hate when you look at a property and you just say, I want to offer this. That drives me nuts. Like, we're in a multiple offer situation, right? You don't even know how much the house is worth. I haven't given you the CMA yet, but in your mind, you're like, I want to offer this. Why? Where did you get that number from? Because that's what I feel I want to offer. No. How about we educate you on what's going on before you can figure that out? So we're talking about leverage. We're talking about leverage in a buyer's market. The buyer has the leverage. The buyer could go in, lowball the seller, or make crazy demands. That house that's sitting on the market that doesn't have the paint that we talked about, a buyer could go in there and say, listen, let me get this for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 cheaper, whatever, because I'm gonna have to put these repairs in or whatever. You had the leverage. You can call the shot, right? The seller on that house doesn't have the leverage. They're going to try to regain the leverage by maybe offering the buyer a home warranty, or offering a buyer, if you buy this house, I'll give you a buy down, an interest rate buy down. Now the seller has to do the kissing, if you will, in order to get the deal to go through. The buyer's calling the shots, right? The buyer has the leverage. So In the seller's market, it's the opposite. The seller is standing there with their house with the professional photography on the market, knowing that there's going to be a line of people getting in with their chest poked out. This is my price. This is what I want. You know, I need the best terms. I need the best for me, and da-da-da-da. So as a buyer, you're kind of subject to that. You're kind of subject to that to the point where, all right, you might go in and the kitchen cabinets could be old to you. They could be old to you, and you could look at them like, all right, I need to redo this kitchen. You know what I mean? But the guy that's standing outside waiting to come in is gonna love that kitchen. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not telling you should buy it, but I'm trying to tell you in a seller's market. In a seller's market, if the kitchen cabinet is the only thing that you don't like, you get what I'm saying? Like maybe you should consider this and then possibly doing that later on. But what we need to do is establish value. Let's figure out how much this house is worth, right? If the house is listed at $400, but I see that other houses in the neighborhood are selling for $450. At $400, you might have $50,000 in equity, which would be enough to cover kitchen cabinets if you want it. So based off of that information, where would you want to put your offer at? Your monthly payments at $450 is going to be this. Your cash to close is going to be this. Right? So based off of this information now, where do you want to put your offer in? As opposed to you looking at the house and saying, oh, I need kitchen cabinets. I want to bid $380. I want to bid $380. It's listed at $4. You bid $380 because of the kitchen cabinets, but the house is worth $350. What do you think on that, Jason?
First of all, I think it's an insult sometimes when people come in and start saying, house $400,000, I want to put $350. Like, I'm like, bro, think about that. How insulting that is to the seller of the home.
Yeah.
you come out there, you just throwing numbers out there. Hey, I want to buy it for $200. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Right. You have it, especially like you say, you're in the seller's market. So now it's competition out there, right?
Right.
So it's less inventory. So yeah, I think you negotiate that way where you see deficiencies and things like this, and then you say, okay, once the appraisal and the inspection is completed or whatever, and you negotiate within those terms. But I say if you like the home, buy the home. I'm not saying don't negotiate, but you might out negotiate yourself, and the other person you say come in and they love the kitchen. Guess what? You just lost that home.
You just lost the house.
Now you're back on the market for 6 to 12 months looking for a home. Why rents are increasing, right? But a lot of this got to do with ego also, brother. Like it's a lot of ego involved in it, right? Because the first thing people are saying is like, oh, I need this home to look a certain way, so when people see me or people come to my house, they're thinking blah, 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 instead of thinking like, no, me and my family need to buy this home, remodel it, fix it up ourselves under value, even if it's whatever. So now we can increase the value and we can gain equity, and we can have enough leverage in the future to buy other properties or fix this up or do whatever, cash out during retirement or schooling or whatever you is for you and your family. So I just think the mindset needs to change as far as that, because we keep saying overpaying. Is like, is it really overpaying for something that you find value in, like you said,
or something that actually appraised out?
Exactly. So if it appraised that if I have an appraisal, I get the appraisal done, and appraisal coming at $400, and I'm in seller's market. Why would I mean, the seller won't know what the appraised value is unless you tell them. But why would I try to get it cheaper and insult that client when I know that there's other borrowers out there who are going to take the property? Like, if it appraised, you buy that appraised value and you go. If there's issues, then of course you negotiate. I'm not saying if there's no issue, don't negotiate. But I'm saying, why waste time when people say final best and offer? I know sometimes they be BSing, but I know sometimes it's like, all right, yo, we just got 10,000 over appraised value. So come in. They're not going to tell you.
Right. So
it's real, they're like, come in now. You're like, shit, 2 weeks ago, I could have just got this property. Now I'm in a competition for this property with money I do not have.
So all right. So watch this, Jason. Oh, this is going to be dope. So a couple of minutes ago, we were just talking and you were saying, listen, I should buy right. So this 400, this house listed at 400, it's worth 450.
Yep.
I want to bid 350. I want to have 100,000 in equity. You just told me to buy right. How does like, why are you telling me not to now? What's the difference? That was pretty good.
When I say buy right, I say when you buy right, you buy wholesale. You're buying retail. When you buy retail, you have to play by the retail rules. When you buy wholesale, you play by the wholesale rules.
So,
you see what I'm saying?
So
it's a difference.
It's a difference in the property.
Difference.
Every house is not. You can't make a retail house a wholesale house. It's two totally different houses.
Correct. A seller can, but you can't.
Right.
Correct. So that wholesale house is, I think, is the key. When I say wholesale,
I know distress.
Yeah, wholesale. Distress property. That needs a little bit of. There's by the way, plug Foxtrot Mortgage, and powered by Nexa Mortgage. We have rehab loans that you can actually buy the property and get it fixed up before you purchase the home. It doesn't need to be pretty when you purchase it. We can actually include that into your mortgage and to your loan, and you can fix that house up. And increase the value yourself through the loan.
Jason, what's your website, or like how do people get in touch with you?
So hit me up. It's a few ways. Hit me up at foxtrotmtggroup.com. That's the website. The website, we have a ton of information. We have a learning center. We have program breakdown on what each program is. The learning center has almost every scenario you might come across. Go there, go to the learning center. Also, I have a second look. So if you actually get a pre-approval with another lender, you can actually go to my website, go to About Us. Under About Us team, it's going to say second look. You upload your loan estimate you got from the other lender, put it in, and within 24 hours or less, me or somebody from my team will get back to you, comparing your offer, seeing if we can beat it, match it, beat it. Most likely we'll be able to beat it. And then you can reach me on Instagram at applywithmrbenton.com. Also Instagram, Foxtrot Mortgage Group. And you can give me an email at jason@foxtrotmtggroup.com. I'm always talking business. I always want to hear from you. I don't care what state you're in. I do all types of loans, commercial, residential, ground up build-ups, rehab loans. Hit me up. I want to help. We can sit down. We can have a real conversation. It's not going to be a generic conversation. We're going to get into it. We're going to really have a discussion on what your goals are, because I need to know what your goals are. Gerard needs to know what your goals are. What are you looking to do? And I always ask that question because I need to know how we're going to structure this loan from the beginning. I don't want you to switch it up once you close and, oh, by the way, what are your goals for you and your future, you and your family in the future? No, I want to know before we start, so we know how to shift this, and we know how to attack this for you and your family, and make sure you're getting the best deal in the best situation possible.
Yo, Jason, so first of all,
also Secure the Bag podcast.
Yeah. So I was just getting ready to say, if you want more content with Jason and myself, you got to check us out with Mike and King on the Secure the Bag podcast. You can find us. We're on. Where are we? We're on YouTube right now. YouTube, Facebook did us dirty. Well, I don't want to talk about it though. But anyways, you can find us on YouTube. We share it on our pages as well. But you could go to the Secure the Bag podcast Facebook page, or you can find us on YouTube. On YouTube, Jason, it's Secure the Bag Network. I figured that out.
Correct.
It's Secure the Bag Network on YouTube. And then on Facebook, It's Secure the Bag. So we have these types of conversations every week. We also bring on special guests as well. Shout out to Cousin Mike, who is the narrator. Cousin Mike, he was in the chat. I don't know if he's still watching. He said, "Dope, fellas." Cousin Mike couldn't make it this morning. I invited the whole crew, but they ain't want to come. You know what I'm saying? Jason, the only one, you know what I'm saying, that come. That's why he my favorite cousin. You know what I'm saying? He the only one holding me down. No, I'm serious.
You got too many cousins to say that,
right,
bro.
I know. I just pissed a lot of people off just now.
We got an army, man.
Nah, but I appreciate the conversation, man. Thank you for dropping those gems on my audience. I hope everybody got value. Shout out to Shawnee. Listen, Shawnee is that's my top dog right there. Shawnee's on the Gibson team. Shawnee closed like, I'm gonna put you out there, Shawnee. Shawnee closed like a couple million in her first year. You feel me? We was talking about last night. Yeah, brand new agent came out, closed a couple mil in her first year, and still going. So yeah, shout out to the Gibson team. Everybody, you know what? Let me brag on my team real quick. The other day, I had this moment where I just realized that I started this team a year ago, and today everybody's working. Like everybody on the team had a deal, something pending, a client, something like, you know what I mean? Like I was so I felt so dope about myself for a quick second. But so shout out to my team.
Congrats, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. You know, I'm trying to be like you when I grow up, man. You know, you was always Big Cuz. I always wanted to be like Big Cuz, you know.
Man, I'm trying to be like me when I grew up too. Shit.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, I got this cough. But yeah, so check us out on Secure the Bag Podcast. Listen, if any questions, you can hit us up, send us DMs. You already know the vibes. We're gonna get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And we'll catch you soon. Anything in closing? You got anything?
You know me. Audit your circle.
That's dope. This guy, man. This guy's unbelievable. But yeah, hold on. Where's my? All right, listen. We'll catch up with y'all people. Have a good one. Later.